Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Lake Olmsted Stadium here in Augusta, Georgia on Masters Weekend. It's Game 2 of a 3-game series between the Augusta Jaguars and the rivals from across the border, the Pacers of USC Aiken. Peach Belt Conference action this weekend. I'm Robert Ambrose. I'll be joined shortly by Blake Collins. The Jaguars fell 14-4 in Game 1 of the series last night, and another way to look at it is they can only get better from yesterday after the 14-4 loss, and kind of have to wipe it from their memory and get ready for a brand new game today. That's really all you can do at this point as we get set for baseball coming up shortly. As I said before, this is Game 2 of a 3-game series. Game 3, the series finale, will be tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as the Jaguars take on the Pacers. That'll also wrap up this homestand for the Jaguars as they get set to travel to Lenoir-Rhyne in Hickory, North Carolina on Tuesday, and then on Friday, travel to Newberry on Tuesday, and then travel to Benedict on Wednesday. And then the following Tuesday, travel to Tigerville, South Carolina to take on North Greenville before returning here to the lake on Wednesday the 18th. Against local opponent Payne College to begin. They'll also begin a 4-game homestand as well. And Robert Ambrose once again joined by Blake Collins. We're going to take a quick look at the standings in the Peach Belt Conference shortly, as well as what else is going on around the league today in just a moment. And as we get set, let's also take a look. The Jaguars are 7-18 in conference play, 11-25 overall on the season. We'll take a little more in-depth look at the standings as we get set for baseball shortly here at the lake. It was a very breezy, light rain throughout the day. Almost the complete opposite of yesterday. Yesterday was a beautiful, perfect night for baseball. Today it's been cloudy all day and light rain throughout, but that's not going to stop the teams from playing a little baseball beginning at the top of the hour. The umpires have arrived. The tarp was on the field the whole day because of the rain. It's now off the field, and we're getting set for baseball shortly as we get ready to take a look at the schedule for what's going on in yesterday's games. We saw Columbus State defeating Georgia Southwestern 9-5, and UNC Pembroke, the Braves, defeated Francis Marion 8-4, and the Pacers over the Jaguars 14-4, and Lander falling to Georgia College 7-2, and Eckerd defeated Flagler 6-5, and North Georgia defeated Young Harris 4-2 to round up yesterday's action. Today's action so far, it's already gone final between Flagler and Eckerd. Flagler has won 10-5 in Game 1 and fallen to Eckerd 9-7 in Game 2 of their doubleheader today. And currently in action, Georgia College leads Lander 9-3 in the top of the ninth. And already in action today, Young Harris taking on North Georgia as we speak, and we're getting set to begin action here at the lake between the Pacers and the Jaguars. And that wraps up the action going on today. We'll dive in, take a quick look at the standings in just a moment as well. Here in just a moment, once again, as I mentioned before, the Jaguars have really struggled this season. Fell yesterday 14-4, and it is Georgia College so far this season in first place, 25-7 overall, and 17-2 in Peach Belt Conference action. They have had a historic season, to say the very least. And Columbus State right behind them in second place, 27-6 overall, 11-4 in conference play. The Flagler Saints 15-6 and 27-12 overall, and the Pacers in fourth place, 13-6 in conference play, 22-13 overall. As the Pacers, they're in fourth place, and let's make note the top 4 teams will make the Peach Belt Conference tournament after the regular season ends. And the Pacers 1 game ahead for that 4th place spot with North Georgia, who's 12-7 in conference play, 20-12 overall, and they're followed by Young Harris at 12-10 and 20-16 overall. UNC Pembroke in 7th, 9-9 conference play, 25-9 overall. Lander 6-13 in conference play, 12-22 overall. And the Jaguars 7-18 and 11-25 overall. It's also noted it's a very young AU squad here in 2018. Can only get better, and they definitely will get better as the season goes on, as well as in the future years coming. Francis Marion, 5-17 in conference play, 13-34 overall, and Georgia Southwestern wraps up the standings at 2-17 in conference play and 6-26 overall. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we will be set for baseball here at Lake Olmsted Stadium. This is a special presentation of the Augusta University Athletics Network on YouTube. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the lake as we're set for baseball. The anthem is concluded. Jaguars have taken the field. Let's take a look at the starting lineup offensively for their opponent, the Pacers of USC Aiken. It'll be Jose Bonilla leading off to start, playing center field. The third baseman and hitting second is Dalton Weeks, to be followed by the starting catcher, Brian Pereira, hitting third. And it will be Brady O'Neill hitting cleanup at fourth and doing the designated hitting. Starting at first base, hitting fifth, is Connor Durden. And at left field, hitting sixth, Joey Smithers. And Philip Watcher, the starting second baseman, hits seventh. Hitting eighth will be LaVale Hodges, playing in right field. And the shortstop, Chandler Rogers, will round up the starting offensive lineup and hit ninth. Their opponent on the mound, starting at pitcher for the Jaguars tonight, is the right-hander, Jay Penley. Jay Penley is a very versatile player. I've talked about him a lot throughout this season. He has a .625 ERA. This is his 11th appearance and his 9th start on the mound for the Jaguars. He also likes to play other defensive positions for the Jaguars as well as pitch. He can hit, he can pinch run, he can do just about it all for the Jaguars.
He's been playing majority of outfield for the Jags. He has a very strong arm, and he looks to utilize that today to go deep into this ball game for the Jags to save their bullpen, as the Jags went early into their bullpen in last night's game in the second inning. So hopefully for the Jags, Penley can go a little bit deeper in today's game.
And the first pitch to Bonilla to start the game, a called strike. 0-1. We are underway officially here at the lake. And the way the weather has been, it actually feels like we actually are on the lake, literally, with the light rain we've had throughout the day. It's not raining as of right now, however, and the 0-1 pitch misses for ball 1-1.
It's got that cool, relaxing feel to it, and it's turned out to be a good day for baseball despite the rain earlier.
The 1-1 misses 2-1. All that matters is the weather at game time. As long as the tarp stays on the field most of the day like it has. It's off the field now, of course. 2 balls and a strike on Bonilla. And now the 2-1 pitch is on its way. Called strike, 2-2. Yesterday there were 2 instances where Bonilla made 3 plate appearances in a span of 3 innings for a total of 6 for the game. And that just shows you how the Pacers were able to have several spurts throughout the game where the offense was really clicking. Grounded to short. Maddox on the hop. Good position over the first in time for a first out. That's going to bring up for the Pacers Dalton Weeks, the number 2 hitter, starting at third base tonight.
There was a good play by Maddox with the infield being semi-wet. It's tough to get good footing out there on the infield because the dirt will stick to your spikes. So great job of gathering his base in front of him, underneath him, and then firing over to first base for the first out.
And the first pitch to Weeks. That's a called strike. 0-1.
Penley's working the inside and outside corner effectively thus far this game.
And the 0-1 misses 1 ball and 1 strike. He does love to paint the edge of the strike zone, especially the corners. That is for sure.
There, though, he might have gotten away with a pitch. That ball was center cut right down the pipe, and Weeks didn't offer at it.
Now the 1-1 misses 2 balls and a strike. In Penley's last mound appearance, it was the last day of the month of March against Lander College. He went only an inning and a third and allowed 5 earned runs off of 7 hits. And it was a game in which the Jaguars were swept in a doubleheader by Lander. They lost 19-12 and 8-3. He's looking for a better outing tonight on the mound.
Right there, he's trying to open up the inside corner and back Wheats off the plate and expose the inside part of the strike zone, and he does a good job there with the pop-up.
Gets Weeks to pop it up, and the catch is made as the ball stayed in the infield. It's Mason Robertson, the Jaguars' second baseman, making the catch for the second out.
And that's good strategy. Anytime you have a hitter crowding the plate, pitch a couple pitches and a barrage inside, make him back off a little bit, open up the inside part of the strike zone for you, utilize that to perfection like Penley did right there for the second out.
There's Pereira. He's the catcher for the Pacers. And the pitch to Pereira is a called strike. Outside corner, 0-1. A much more interesting, a different spread of the crowd today than we saw yesterday, with, because of the rain, the crowd taking shelter a little higher up in the stands compared to normal, where you see a lot of fans sitting in the box seats. All general admission seating here at the lake for Jaguars games. Not a single reserved seat inside Lake Olmsted Stadium. And now the 1-1 pitch. Called strike, 2. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Now on Pereira.
USC Aiken is devising the same strategy as he did in last night's game, being patient at the plate and allowing Penley to work and throw more pitches than he wants to. Right now, though, he's ahead in the count, 1 ball and 2 strikes.
And the 1-2. Line in the air to right field. Going back, Harrison Moore. And that's a home run. It bounced off the top of the wall and just went over the fence. It went right in between the top of the wall, the crack between the top of the wall and the bottom part of the sign right above it, right above the Geico sign in right field for a huge home run. And just like that, it's 1-0. And the Pacers with the early lead on the home run by Pereira.
It takes precision to place a ball there in between the yellow line and the signs. Pereira did a nice job staying through the strike zone, utilizing his base very well, and then just driving the ball through his body. Got the bat head around to it and just sent it sailing.
And first pitch to the cleanup hitter for the Pacers is fouled back by Brady O'Neill, the designated hitter. Typically a catcher, just like Pereira for the Pacers. He's doing the DHing here tonight. 0-1 the count on O'Neill. The Pacers scored a pair of runs in the first inning yesterday. 1 run so far here in the first inning off the solo home run by Pereira. The 0-1 pitch misses, a ball and a strike. Now on O'Neill, trying to extend the inning for Connor Durden, who waits on deck. The 0-1, called strike, 1-2. It was 1-2 to Pereira before he homered, and now it's 1-2 on O'Neill.
Penley, with that beautiful delivery that he has, is living on the inside or the right-hander's batter's box side of the strike zone to each of the hitters, and when he's come inside, especially to Pereira, and try to utilize the inside corner on the other half of the strike zone, he got burned a little bit. But for the most part, just continue to mix up your pitches, change speeds, and he's doing a dandy of a job this first inning for the Jags.
Count even 2 balls and 2 strikes after O'Neill holds up on a check swing. It is Masters weekend here in Augusta. Big golf tournament going on just a couple blocks down the road on Washington Road. Count is full on O'Neill, 3-2.
It's hard to take a pitch like that through the Pacers and Brady O'Neill. Very good eyes watching that pitch just barely miss out of the zone.
And now the payoff pitch swung on up the middle, fielded by Mason Robertson. The freshman makes the play in time for the third and final out. And the Jaguars trail it 1-0. They're coming to bat in the bottom of the first on the Augusta University Athletics Network on YouTube. We'll be back. Welcome back here to Lake Olmsted Stadium. Jaguars trailing 1-0 as we are set to start the bottom of the first. Let's take a look at the Jaguars' starting offensive lineup here. Devin Billardello, the starting center fielder, will lead it off. He'll be followed by Jim Wagner playing third base and hitting second. Harrison Moore in right field hits third. Cleanup hitter is the designated hitter Zach Goebel. Bakari Gale in left field hitting fifth. Mason Robertson will hit sixth and play second base. Timothy Gray, starting at first base, hits seventh. Brett Alford behind the plate doing the catching, hitting eighth for the Jaguars. And to round up the starting offense will be Trent Maddox hitting ninth and playing shortstop. And the opponent they'll face on the mound for the Pacers is Mitch Spence. He's a right-handed pitcher, and he's a sophomore for the Pacers, starting on the mound here tonight. And in 2018, he has an ERA of 4.02, 2-4 record on the season. This is his 10th appearance and his 8th start. And the first pitch he deals to Devin Billardello is a called strike, 0-1. He has drastically lowered his ERA this season. As I said, it's a 4.02 ERA in 2018. Last season as a freshman in 2017, a 7.56 ERA for Spence, a 1-1 record in 16 appearances, all out of the bullpen a season ago.
Well, let's see if Billardello can spoil this pitching matchup, because as it stands right now, you've got a right-hander versus a right-handed hitter at the plate that usually favors the pitcher, but let's see if Billardello can utilize that to his advantage.
Grounded past Billardello up the middle, a leadoff base hit, a single for Billardello. Jaguars in business in the bottom of the first. And if you're the Jaguars, if you're able to get the offense going early, that can be a recipe for success.
Not only that, but then you can implement your speed and use your speed that the Jaguars have through their offense to absolute perfection. You've got a very speedy runner out on first base in Billardello. Now you're looking to maybe play a little bit of ABC baseball here, move him over to second base, and then see if you can surge back to deadlock this ball game up at 1.
And first pitch to Jim Wagner is fouled away. 0-1. The count on Wagner.
And not only that, with the speed that the Jags have, especially at the top with Billardello and Wagner, you'll be more likely to see as well some offensive strategy being implemented, like a hit and run, like a delayed steal or straight steal, to see if you can get the ball moving on offense for the Jags.
Check on the runner at first, and Billardello is able to get back. For the offense, speed on the base paths is huge.
Absolutely.
Something, obviously, the Pacers are thinking about with Billardello on first, and obviously the Jaguars thinking about how they want to play their hand after Billardello's single. The 0-1 pitch on its way, called strike 2, outside corner, 0-2 on Jim Wagner. In Spence's high school days, he was an all-state, all-conference as a senior, and for Green Hope High School, where he attended in Cary, North Carolina, he is the all-time career ERA and saves leader from high school. Grounded to second, and that's going to be misplayed. And on his way to third, Billardello, runners at the corners, and nobody out. That should be an error on the second baseman, Philip Watcher.
A couple of things here. The field is wetter than it usually is due to the rain earlier today. That played a factor in slowing the ball down and having a bad hop for Watcher to play off of. Not only that, but we talked about utilizing the speed early and very rapid for the Jags. Billardello had a bigger than a 3-step lead on first. He takes off after the boot. He shoots on over to third. The Jags are in major business right now with nobody out.
The Jaguars achieved the equivalent of a hit and run thanks to the air and good base running by Billardello. He's a potential force out being on first, and he takes off on contact once the ball hits the ground. And the jump when the contact was made aided him to get all the way from second to third. Count 0-1 on Harrison Moore after he looked at a called strike. And the 0-1, swing and a miss. 0-2 on Harrison Moore. Zach Goebel on deck for the Jaguars, tying run on third base.
That was a good sinker in from Spence. Had Harrison Moore swinging out over the top of it. Moore put a good swing on it, but just a better pitch from Spence.
And the 0-2 pitch in the dirt outside, 1-2. And what a good stop that was by Pereira behind the plate. Had to get over a bit to get there, and it saved the run for the Pacers.
Absolutely. And with Wagner's speed at first base, you don't want to risk the Jags tying the game up if you're the Pacers, so Wags might have a free base here if he elects to run.
The 1-2 misses upstairs. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Does seem like a potentially good steal count if you're Wagner, that's for sure. Runners at the corners. Nobody out here in the bottom of the first, and Moore swings and misses and is down on strikes. It was a nasty pitch up and in, but Moore had to protect with 2 strikes. Didn't want to let it go. And down on strikes he goes. 1 down here in the inning. Here's Zach Goebel.
Yeah, just a little bit tardy on that swing. Like I said, having to protect, and he misjudged the speed of that just by a freckle, and he couldn't catch up to it.
Freckle made all the difference in the world. Another check on the runner Wagner at first. So here's Goebel. He is a former player of the week in not only the Peach Belt Conference, but in the region. For the Jaguars, the pitch to Goebel, a called strike on the inside corner, 0-1.
And if you're the Jags, this is the guy you want up to the dish to either get you a base hit in this scenario or get you a fly ball so you can get Bill Ordello in from third base, because you know with Bill Ordello's speed, the ball does not have to be hit deep for him to score.
Grounded to second. They're going to go to first for the easy out. No chance for a double play, and how huge is that? That allows Bill Ordello, who is running on contact from third, to score, and we have a tied ball game at 1.
Manufacture ABC baseball at its finest. Hit the ball on the ground, get him over to second. Off the air, Bill Ordello's speed ventures him over to third, and then ABC baseball, Goebel sacrificing himself on that ground ball to ensure the Jags tie this ball game up. What a beautiful half inning this is for the Jags playing small ball.
And it was hit softly enough, probably purposely by Goebel, to avoid the double play. Beautiful job. And not only that, Wagner with good speed able to get to second to prevent a fielder's choice. With his speed, he's the go-ahead run on second with 2 outs. No balls and a strike now, the count on Bakari Gale. Check on the runners. Here's the pitch. Swing and a miss. Ball in the dirt. 0-2.
Gale was expecting a fastball there. Got a curveball curved well before the plate, and it ventured into the dirt. Gale, a little bit out in front. Let's see if he can adjust to what Spence delivers this next pitch.
Spence, as I mentioned, a 4.02 ERA this season. Swing and a miss on another ball in the dirt, and the throw to first is in time to complete the strikeout. And Gale is retired, and so are the Jaguars, but not before they add a run and tie the game at 1. As we wrap up inning number 1, we go to inning number 2. We'll be back. back here at the lake. The lights are on at the stadium as we start the top of the second. We are tied at 1 between the Jaguars and the Pacers. It will be Connor Durden starting first base tonight for the Pacers, leading it off. Here in the second inning, will be followed by Joey Smithers and then Philip Watcher. And the first pitch he sees misses for a ball. 1-0 to Durden.
As a hitter, you see that the left center field gap is much bigger than the right center field gap, and up the middle is more wide open than anything else. So for Durden, you want to see if you can get a pitch out over the plate to serve it into left center field, or have the same frame of mind and shoot it back up the middle in between the shortstop and the second baseman.
1-1 misses. Now 2 balls. And a strike is the count.
So if you're Penley in this instance, you want to try to pitch Durden inside to make him pull the ball more, to play more into the shift that the Jags have set up.
And the 2-1. Swing and a miss. That was a slider. Curved outside, 2-2.
It's a very tight rotation. Good amount of velocity on it. Great spin on the ball for Penley. And you got the swing and the miss by Durden.
And the 2-2 misses. Count is full. Good at bat by Durden to start off the second inning. Making Penley work here.
And if you're Augusta, you'll love to see what happened in the bottom half of the first inning. The Pacers launched out to a 1-0 lead on a home run.
And Durden draws a leadoff walk on 6 pitches.
And then Augusta comes back in the bottom half of the first, counter-striking with one of their own. It's going to be a good game, Robert.
It absolutely will be, and good game is exactly what the Jaguars need after the 14-4 loss yesterday's game. Next batter is Joey Smithers for the Pacers. It's hard to believe the season's less than a month remaining in it at this point. It goes by fast, doesn't it?
It seems like yesterday we were here at Lake Olmsted Stadium for the first home game back in February for the Jags.
First home game was on February 2nd. It's now the 7th of April, and only literally 3 weeks left before the season finale against Lynn. It'll be a doubleheader to end the season on the 28th of April.
For folks who love baseball, the college season may end in May, but you have 5 to 6 more months of great baseball in the professional ranks. It's going to be a good summer full of baseball.
And professional ranks just underway a week and a half ago for the major league teams, and the minor league teams just got underway on Thursday.
Yeah.
And the local team, the Augusta Green Jackets, getting going this weekend in Columbia, and then travel to Greensboro before they return home for the grand opening of the brand new SRP Park this Thursday night against the Lexington Legends. It'll be, I believe, a 7:05 first pitch on Thursday night just across the river as the Jaguars leave the lake that we're at here and will rule the river and open SRP Park on Thursday. Smithers strikes out, 1 away. It's going to bring up Philip Watcher. And Blake, I believe you're working that game.
Absolutely. It's going to be an outstanding day for baseball, especially seeing the new park, how it plays, how the field plays with the baseball, and how the grass is for the Green Jackets will determine a lot. And it'll be interesting to see how big of a sellout this will be, seeing as it is a brand new stadium. First time the Green Jackets will play in it. Also, if you're in the area on Tuesday as well, and you love college baseball, Georgia and Clemson will play at SRP Park on Tuesday as well.
And on Monday, we'll have a little high school action going on there as well. My understanding, you're working that too?
You always love those high school games. It'll be my alma mater in Greenbrier High School taking on the North Augusta high school baseball team as well. So it is going to be an action-packed week.
Is that a little border war for high school?
Absolutely.
It is. It's not often in high school level at any sport you see teams from different states playing against each other, but that's the beauty of high school baseball at SRP Park.
Absolutely.
We saw a little bit of that, a lot of high school baseball here last year as well, now being played at SRP Park as well. Ball and a strike and an out. Philip Watcher at the plate, also a runner on first. I guess that makes aces wild. Each team with a run in the first inning, and each team also with a run so far in this game altogether, and each team with a hit.
Yeah, and there is one out on the board here, so the Jags do have a double play scenario in order with a ground ball induced.
Count 1 and 2 on Watcher. Jaguars in double play depth. We are seeing Wagner play in at third base with the right-hander Watcher up.
Yeah, the Jags are... Penley's doing a very good job holding down the reins on a volatile offense. He's absolutely exploding through the strike zones, inside, outside corner, doing very well for himself on the mound today. He's looking to get a ground ball.
Lined off the glove of Wagner into left field, a base hit. Will likely be ruled a base hit to second, Durden. 2 on with 1 out.
Yeah, that was going to be a tough play for Wagner regardless, because the quickness he had to dive to react to that play, and then the collision on the ground was going to be tough to try to hold on to the ball, but a great effort out there for third base for Jim Wagner. This is the first year that we've seen him play the infield, and he's done very well for himself on the infield part of the diamond. So a very tough play, but a very good try as well for Jim Wagner out in third base.
Batter now is going to be LaVale Hodges, redshirt freshman from Bowie, Maryland. Once again, 2 on 1 out. We are tied at 1 in the top half of inning number 2 at the Lake.
And that last play was a prime example as to why you hear in the game a lot of players and a lot of folks deem third base as the hot corner, because the ball jumps on you very fast at third base, like it did Wagner in that instance.
Count 0-1 on Hodges. And he's going to be followed by Chandler Rogers, the number 9 hitter for the Pacers. Swing and a miss on the 0-1. Count now 0-2 on Hodges. It was this inning in yesterday's game where the Pacers scored 4 runs to take a 6-0 lead. Hodges reached base a trio of times yesterday. He had a duo of singles. Was stranded all 3 times he reached, and he strikes out here in the second of this game for the second out.
That was exquisite.
Of the second inning.
Exquisite placement right there for Penley on that fastball. Late movement there triggered the inside corner, exploding through the zone, and all Rogers could do there was to just look at that ball sail right by him. Absolutely great pitching here from Jay Penley.
2 outs now and 2 on here in the inning, and Chandler Rogers drew a walk to lead off the second inning of yesterday's game and came in to score the first of the 4 Pacer runs that inning. 1-0 is the count on Rogers.
So Penley working his magic, striking out LaVale Hodges, just what the doctor ordered for the Jags out on the mound.
And the 0-1 is going to be a towering pop fly. Is that going to be in fair territory? It stays in the infield, and it falls between the entire Jaguar infield. And everybody's safe. There was a miscommunication between the entire infield. Nobody knew who was going to be able to catch it, and nobody knew if it was going to land fair or foul, and it miraculously lands just in fair territory. And everybody's safe, and that loads the bases with 2 outs. And because there were 2 outs, the infield fly rule not in effect.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you look at that play, and you wish that Alford would have taken charge as it was closer to home plate. Now, Gray had the better vantage point of the ball coming in and tracking the ball. Would like to have seen him take charge a little bit sooner, but tough break for the Jags now with the bases loaded.
Line foul off the bat of Bonilla, back to the top of the order for the Pacers. 0-1. Bonilla comes out aggressive.
And with it being 2 outs, it's not as bad as you would think with there being nobody out or 1 out in the inning. So the Jags do have the advantage with only having to get 1 out.
And they have force options at any base, including home plate. The 0-1 misses for ball. 1-1 on Bonilla. Wind starting to pick up and blow out towards right field. And with Bonilla being a left-handed hitter, if he can pull the ball, that's an advantage for him.
If you're the Pacers, though, you don't want to try to overdo it and reach out and pull it, because more likely with that type of swing, you're going to bat it into the ground in the infield to where the Jags have a prime opportunity to make a play on that. So if you're wanting to pull it, you're wanting something inside or over halfway in the middle of the plate or just a little bit outside, not too far outside, but just enough outside to where you can get the fat of the bat head on it and do some damage.
Last inning, Penley forced the Pacers to ground out 3 times. The 2-1 pitches in the dirt, 3-1 on Bonilla. This inning, both outs he has recorded have been by way of the strikeout. So he's showing he can get outs any way necessary.
It's a long inning for Jay Penley, though, because the more pitches he's showing here, the more visible his pitching will be to the Aiken lineup, and also their timing will get better with every pitch that the lineup sees.
And now the 3-1 misses for ball 4, and that's going to force home a run. And the Pacers are back on top, 2-1 here in the second inning. It's going to bring up Dalton Weeks. As walks can really come back to haunt you.
That's one thing that the Pacers are doing extremely well, as we saw last night, and they're doing the same thing tonight, having discipline at bats at the plate with very disciplined eyes, not swinging at pitchers' pitches and making Penley throw hitters' pitches, and then when they get those, either launching them over the fence or attacking them to get base hits. They're doing a very good job of doing that. Now, if Penley can just keep the damage to a minimum here and silence the Aiken at bats right now, he will be in good shape going into the bottom half of the second inning. So for the Jags to come back and retie this ball game up.
Bases remain loaded here with 2 outs. And that's lined down the left field line if it's fair. And it is a grand slam home run for Dalton Weeks. And just like we saw in the second inning of yesterday's game, we see again in the second inning here today, the Pacers blow it open early. They lead it 6-1 over the Jaguars here in the second.
That was a pitcher's pitch, and kudos to Dalton Weeks for bringing his hands inside, blazing through the strike zone with those hands and connecting the aluminum bat to the baseball. That was headed for the dirt. He picked it up before it headed there, put the bat head right smack dab on the ball, and they're ahead Major League right now by 5 runs.
They had 6 runs by this point in yesterday's game as well. Although yesterday they were scoring runs basically any way possible, today they're relying heavily on the long ball. Pair of home runs, plus the bases loaded walk.
And that was also a good example of using Penley's speed as a pitcher. When he pitched the pitch against him there, he didn't try to do too much. He just turned on it. Thought he might have got out in front of it a little bit, but he stayed back enough to keep it fair. Great piece of hitting there by Weeks.
The 1-0 called a strike. 1 ball and 1 strike. The count now on Weeks. Weeks is the 7th Pacer to bat this inning.
And so now, if you're the Jags, you just want to reset, forget that ever happened, and continue to pitch like Penley did in the first inning and try to get this last out here and minimize the damage the best you can.
The 2-1 pitch called strike 2, outside corner, 2-2. Deuces are wild with 2 outs. If Weeks can reach base and extend the inning, Pereira will hit next, and Pereira hit the home run back in the first inning to put the Pacers on the board. The 2-2 pitch on its way. Swung on, fouled back to the screen, and Weeks will stay alive.
You look at it, Pereira was just a touch off on mistiming that fastball. It was inside. He brought the hands in and stays alive in the count by just fouling it back.
And that's through the legs of Maddox into center field. And on first is Weeks. We'll see how they rule that. It was a hard hit ball, but it was right through Maddox's legs.
It's tricky because that particular pitch, or that particular hit, landed on the fringe of the grass, and the fringe of the grass redirected the path of the baseball. Maddox had it played perfectly, shifting over to the right to play that ball really well, but the redirecting caused it to go a little bit to his left, and he couldn't adjust back in time to field the ball cleanly. So baseball's a funky sport when it touches like fringe of the grass type areas, anywhere on the diamond, and you have bad hops. It was just an unfortunate break there for the Jags to keep this inning on for the Pacers.
And swung on, fouled away by Pereira, who's already homered in this game. It's 0-1. Penley went an inning and 2/3 in his last appearance, and so far he has done that today. And now all of a sudden the bullpen is starting to stir once again for the Jaguars. That's something that head coach Chris Howell did not want to do for the second game in a row in the second inning. Yesterday's game, Sam Gilberton, the starter for the Jaguars, didn't even make an out in the second inning before he was pulled. He recorded 6 walks in an inning plus of work in his start. Just came out at the start and just struggled to throw strikes. And taking second on the passed ball is Weeks. And it's starting to unravel once again for the Jaguars.
He had a very good jump, and once that ball hit the dirt, they took off. And about the time that Alford had grabbed the ball to pick it up off the dirt, Aiken was about 3/4 to second, and at that point, even a fireball like cannon would not be in time to get the runner at second.
The 1-1 is a called strike. 1-2 to Pereira. Pereira was behind 1-2 in his last at bat in the first inning with 2 outs, and then he homered. Now he's behind here in the second inning, 1-2. So this is his favorite count so far in this game.
He's had at least 4 of these counts. Early on in this affair.
And the 1-2 misses, 2 balls and 2 strikes. With 2 outs here in the second inning. The bottom half of this inning, the Jaguars will have Mason Robertson, Timothy Gray, and Brent Alford due up. As the Pacers are now already a third of the way through their second trip through the lineup. Not even through an inning and a half in this game. Check on the runner. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Misses downstairs. Count is full. And the inning continues. Pereira is the fourth batter to come to the plate this inning since the second out was made. And all 5 runs this inning have scored with 2 outs. And the 3-2 chop foul. Back to the screen.
Brady O'Neill's displaying a mighty find at bat, working the count to 3-2, and now fouling a couple of pitches off. And this is something that you'll probably see a lot this game, with the Pacers working the count and making the Jags sweat for the outs that they get.
And the 3-2 pitch misses, and another base on balls. Pereira draws a walk after a good long at bat, and they're making Penley work. His pitch count is already quite a ways up there, and Chris Howell will have no choice but to go back to his bullpen like he did in the second inning of yesterday's game. At this rate, that's looking likely to happen. We're going to have a mound visit as Alford's going to come out and have a little word with Penley. And if the Pacers are able to wear out the Jaguars' bullpen over the weekend, that's not going to bode well for the Jaguars, not only this weekend, but in their upcoming games next week.
No, especially seeing as how the starting pitching has been taxed just in the last 2 days, like we've been saying. Go or Don not being able to get out of the second, and Penley doing a little bit better. You want to try to see if he can get out of the second, but that will not be a good sign for the Jags going into their road trip next week, especially with the offensive firepower they'll wind up facing.
Yesterday, this is the 9th batter to come to the plate this inning already for the Pacers as they've batted around. And in yesterday's game, there were 4 instances where the Pacers saw a minimum of 7 batters coming to the plate in an inning. 3 instances where they had at least 8, and they batted around once. In yesterday's game, that was in the 8th inning.
One thing you notice right off the bat, in the Jags up until this point, to yesterday and today, are, like we've been talking about, working the corners, but they're also not really pitching to that much contact, and when they do, they get blasted by it. It's something that I'd like to see a little bit more, them try to, as you see,
and another wild pitch on his way to third. Weak, staying at first, Pereira.
But especially in this game, you'd like to see the Jags pitch more to contact and pitch a pitch to where Aiken's fooled, but they also make contact to where you can get simpler outs than what you have already been getting, because especially with that grand slam, that was a pitcher's pitch that they went down and got. Working the corners is good, but when you're just wanting to get out of innings like this, it's best to just pitch to contact.
And the 1-2 misses. 2 balls and 2 strikes. He's had 2 strike counts to several different hitters since the second out was made in this inning, but has not been able to make the final out. He has struck out 2 this inning already, resulting in the 2 outs that we have so far. Runners at the corners. 2 outs, 2 balls and 2 strikes on O'Neill. Here's the pitch. And that misses inside. Count is full on O'Neill. And we play on here in the top of the second. On deck is Durden, who led off this inning with a walk and then came in to score a run. And now the 3-2 pitch in the dirt for ball 4. And once again, the bases are loaded and the Pacers have officially batted around here in the second. And this is also the second time in 4 innings, dating back to the 8th inning of yesterday's game in which the Pacers bat around. It's going to bring up Joey Smithers. Smithers struck out this inning already. The Pacers with 6 runs off of 4 hits and an error. The Jaguars with just 1 run off of 1 hit and 1 error. All ones on the scoreboard for the Jaguars. Count, ball and no strikes now to Smithers.
Barely missing again for Penley.
Two balls and no strikes to Smithers. Penley, just like Gulberthon was yesterday on a start, just struggling to find the strike zone. The 2-0. Called strike. 2 balls and 1 strike.
And the bad thing about that is when you're struggling with your command, like Penley is today, and especially here in the second, and Gulberthon, as we saw yesterday, it's prime time and prime real estate for a high-powered offense like we're seeing in Aiken to expose that and really bring firepower to the bats, and saw that yesterday, and we're starting to see that today as well.
In the air to deep left field, back at the track at the wall. It's off the wall. That's going to score at least 2. They're going to hold Durden at third. Just missed being the second Grand Slam home run of this half inning by the Pacers. And that was going to cause this Pacer-friendly crowd to erupt. And runners on second and third, and it's 8-1. Pacers in just the second inning. Penley still out there. And out comes Chris Howell. And we'll see if he pulls the plug on him here in the second. Eight runs already home, including 7 this inning. He pitched very well to contact last inning, despite giving up the home run. Got 3 ground outs outside of that.
The thing is, too, on that Grand Slam home run to Dalton Weeks, on that salami, Dalton Weeks went down outside the strike zone and caught the pitcher's pitch out of the park. So he made a really good pitch there, got a bad result, and
just didn't work out for him.
Yeah, when he's had opportunities to do that, it's just been one of these things where the Aiken hitters are one step ahead in their thought process, and if they don't swing at it, they're making Penley elevate the baseball to where then they can attack on the baseball, and that's where Penley's suffering a little bit. But with a new pitcher in here, and we'll get to that in a second, but we'll see now with the new pitcher if things start to turn around for the Jags. It has not been that bad of an outing in terms of speed and pitching for Penley. It's just been location has been one of his flaws tonight, and that's been exposed by the Pacers.
And we will take a quick break, and we'll come back. We'll let you know who the new pitcher is for the Jaguars. Welcome back here to the lake. We have a new pitcher for the Jaguars as Jay Penley, the starter, is out of the game for the second appearance in a row. He goes an inning and 2/3, and things do not go his way. So far, he's given up 8 runs off of 5 hits. He's responsible for the runners on second and third. And the pitch is up the middle on the bat of Watcher. That's a base hit. Scoring is Durden around third. Smithers, he will score, and it's 10-1 in favor of the Pacers. Both of those runs are going to be charged to Penley, who statistically his night is now over. 10 runs off of 5 hits in an inning and 2/3.
The major blow came on the grand slam, again off of a pitcher's pitch, and they just went down and attacked the baseball. And on that pitch by Hagelston, it was another pitch that was more inside, but they brought the bat head to it, and they secured their 9th and 10th run.
And that's a ball to Hodges, 1-0. This is the 13th hitter to come to the plate this inning.
The majority of the damage here has come with 2 outs. So it's been a struggling point for the Jags up until this point. But Hagelston coming in, firing the way he's been pitching outside of that one pitch. See if he can get out of it.
Ball and a strike now, the count on Hodges. Even count. 9 runs have scored this inning, all with 2 outs. And where the trouble really started was when Chandler Rogers hit a towering pop fly that was basically right on the foul line. It was in the infield. And the entire Jaguar infield gathered around it, and nobody was able to call anyone off. And there was too much confusion, and it so happened that the ball landed fair when there was also a lot of, probably several Jaguars players thought it was going to land foul. It landed fair, and everybody was safe. And that's really when the trouble started, as the Jaguars since then have not been able to make the final out in this inning. And since that point, Hodges, this is the 8th batter to come to the plate since that point.
A couple of things. The discipline, as we've been talking about, but when you give an offensive juggernaut like the Pacers are, especially within this series, the first 2 games, extra outs to work with, they will make you pay. And it's one of the things where they're making really good contact on the ball mixed with discipline, and it's absolutely plaguing the Jags up until this point. They've got some serious work to do to come back, but...
Called! Strike 3! Down on strikes, Hodges.
Phenomenal pitch inside corner by Hagelston wraps up a bleeding second inning for the Jags.
And that does wrap up the inning, but not before 9 Pacers score. As we go to the bottom of the inning, it's 10-1. USC Aiken will be back. welcome you back to the lake. It's the bottom of the second inning. The Jaguars gave up 9 runs in the top of the inning. Come to bat, trail at 10-1. The batter is Mason Robertson for the Jaguars. The Pacers in the top of the inning saw 13 hitters come to the plate in the inning. And the pitch to Robertson misses for a ball 1-0. Will be followed by Timothy Gray and then Brent Alford for the Jaguars, who need to answer. And that's in the air to right field, in the gap between right and left, right and center field, and that's going to get down for a hit. To second goes Robertson, and he's going to stop there, a leadoff double, and boy, do the Jaguars need that to begin an inning. They need to at least bat around, and then some, to get back into this game at this point here in the second inning.
What you need is base runners. A very good start by Robertson. Saw a high hanger off of Spencer there and brought his hands in. He stayed true with his shoulders and exploded through the baseball. Shot out to right center field to where the converging center fielder and right fielder who dove for the baseball could not catch up to it.
Timothy Gray is the batter now, as LaVale Hodges made a good effort in right field to get over to it and dove for it but was unable to make the catch. It was just a little too far out of his reach. And Robertson with a leadoff double. No balls and a strike. The count on Timothy Gray, the Jaguars' starting first baseman here in this game. Ty Hobbs is normally the first baseman. He's been out of the lineup this weekend. Gray has played well in his absence. The 0-1 pitch swung on. Hopper off the mound. Over to first. In time for out number 1. To third goes Mason Robertson. Took a high hopper off the mound, and Spence was unable to get it. And off of the high hop, a good job, good play by Philip Watcher, who watched the ball right to his glove on the high hop. And he goes over and makes the play. They're going to check out Spence. He's shaking off the trainer, but they're going to check in on him after the high hop may have bounced off his foot.
Yeah, that was a very good play by the second baseman, Philip Watcher, out there. Having to travel in on the grass is a difficult thing to do at the speed he was coming in at, and then transferring it cleanly to retire the first out. But with Spence shaking it off, glad he's okay. But the Jags, with a productive out there, moving over Robertson to third.
Absolutely. Although when you're down 9 productive outs, you don't have very much room for those. Nevertheless, ball and no strikes to Alford.
You still have 8 innings to play, so
yes,
if you score a run each inning, and if you score 2 runs in 1 inning, you're right back tied. So even at this rate, with the Jags looking like they have a lot of work to do to come back, productive outs mean something. And for Gray, that was a gorgeous at-bat that he did his job and moved Robertson over for the Jags to score their second run. But that won't get it done right there.
That's a pop fly, towering pop fly. It's going to stay in the infield. Similarly to what we saw when the Jaguars were on defense when it landed in between the entire infield, but the catch is made here for out number 2. That's not a productive out, but you're right. It's only the second inning. 8 innings to go in this one. A long way to go, and the game far from over. Obviously, the Jaguars have a very tough hill to climb like they did yesterday in the 14-4 loss. Jaguars fell behind at this point 6-0 yesterday. They cut it to 6-2 in the 4th inning when they scored a pair of runs and kept within striking distance up until the 8th inning, and that was really when the Pacers blew it open and went up by double digits. That's fouled away by Maddox, 0-1.
Well, you look at it now, some of the veteran leadership for the Jags with Brent Alford and a couple of the other guys comes into play here because they've seen games where the Jags have come back from a monstrous disadvantage and come back and have fought back, scratched and clawed their way back to deadlocking games, tying the games up, and then ultimately coming back and winning ball games, with those games going into extra innings. So it has been done by the Jacks before, but that's where the veteran leadership will come in and say, hey, look, even though it's early, we're still not out of this game yet. We have a lot of work to do. Let's hunker down, put good at bats together, work the counts of Spence, make him work a little bit, and then before you know it, you'll be right back into the game.
Count is now 0-2 on Trent Maddox. Jaguars do have the offense to get themselves back in the game.
In solid contact, not trying to do too much with the baseball when your opportunity comes up at the plate.
And the 0-2, swing and a miss by Maddox for the third and final out, as the Jaguars get a runner in scoring position with nobody out, but are unable to get anything out of it. As we go to the third here at the Lake, it's 10-1 in favor of the Pacers. We'll be back. Welcome you back here to the Lake. It's the top of the third. The Pacers are coming to bat, coming off a 9-run second inning in which they saw 13 players come to the plate, including 4 guys hitting twice. It'll be Chandler Rogers leading off, the number 9 hitter for the Pacers. Will be followed by the top of the order in the Pacers in Bonilla and then Weeks.
Don't discredit all of the 9 runs it scored. The major cog in that wheel was the grand slam by Dalton Weeks, and a lot of that was the batters before him working the counts, walking, getting on base, and then attacking hitters' pitches when they come up to the plate.
Called strike on Rogers, 0-1. The Pacers have really just been being the Jaguars any way possible this weekend. It's been a very lopsided series in the first 11 innings of play this weekend. A ball and a strike on Rogers. And that's going to be chopped foul, 1-2. There's an absolute certainty now for the second game in a row. It's a 100% certain that Bonilla he's the leadoff hitter for the Pacers, and Jose Bonilla will bat at least once in each of the first 3 innings, just like yesterday. He also hit one time in innings 6, 7, and 8. So for a span of 3 innings, but with Bonilla hitting once in each inning, it'll now happen for the 3rd time in a game and a third.
So it's to that point, with the way that this Pacer offense is cooking right now, it's not far off to say that he'll have 7 at-bats this game, and in his 3rd at-bat right there, he just served one into left field off a high changeup that didn't go anywhere.
It just shows you how good this Pacer offense is for that to happen. It's rare enough for a batter to bat 3 times in 4 innings or back-to-back innings. But back-to-back innings and is almost unheard of, and to see it happen 3 times in a game and a third.
If everything goes according to plan, which it almost never does in baseball, But in a normal nine inning game, 3 up and 3 down, to where you have 1 run that wins the ball game. Say you come up every 3 innings.
Grounded to second. Robertson throws to second for the force. Over to first, not in time, but he does get the lead runner.
So you get, as you've got 2 outs on the board now, but as you get, like, leadoff hitter comes up in the first inning. He'll come back around once you get through the 9, come back up in the 3rd, he'll come back up in the 5th, 7th, and then the 9th. So usually you're looking at, if you're one of the top 3 hitters, you're looking at usually 4 or 5 at-bats in the game. But the way this offense is pressing right now, there's no telling how many at-bats these guys will have at the end of the night.
There certainly isn't. We know that Bonilla and Weeks, who bats now, will have a minimum, assuming they play the whole game, a minimum of 5. With, you know, you're going to get at least an at-bat every 3 innings.
Right.
Minimum.
Right. So if you go from the 3rd, you'll look to come up in the 5th, you'll look to come up in the 7th, and then the top of the 9th as well. And
as a possibility, yes.
Absolutely. And so the Jags, you would hope that the Jags would orchestrate some 1, 2, 3 innings and make that more difficult than what it appears to be. But they're still making Hagelston work out on the mound, which is what we've been accustomed to seeing these first 2 games of the series.
Bullpen is now empty for the Jaguars, with Hagelston on in relief last inning. And that's fouled away. 1 and 2 on Weeks. Is the count now. Runner on first, 1 out. Rogers led off the inning with a single, was thrown out on second on a fielder's choice play when Bonilla hit a ground ball. Bonilla replaces him on first base as a result with 1 out. The batter Weeks, who hit the grand slam last inning to really blow it open. And it's really kick-started the onslaught for the Pacers. They'll be followed by Pereira, who also has a home run in this game. The 2-2 pitch misses inside. Count is full on Weeks. And it's a possible steal count for the leadoff hitter Bonilla on first with 1 out. And if you're up 10-1, you're not worried about taking a little risk here for a little practice stealing.
Absolutely not. But if he does take off, then for Alford, you kind of want a low pick so you can have the transfer clean and then come up and firing to second.
Lined up the middle. That's a base hit to center field. Bonilla was running with the pitch. He's on his way to third on a successful hit and run for the Pacers. Right when we were talking about a little risk, the Pacers do exactly that. Runners at the corners, 1 out.
Phenomenal offensive strategy from the Pacers, realizing the situation that they were in, looking to keep the pedal to the metal here and not making the Jaguars earn the outs that they get. And the good thing for the Jags right now, though, is on the next ball that's in the infield, they possibly could get 2 outs, as a double play is set up at second and first.
Well, that would be the quick way out of the inning and will avoid giving up another run. If you're down 10-1, would you be okay taking an out for a run if a double play isn't an option?
At this particular juncture, I would. Simply because you're working for outs here, but you don't want to let this game get too much further out of hand. So if you do, you're confident that the better matchup would be the guy on deck, that you could get the third out better by taking that second out and then work. If it's not hit into a double play, then you don't have to worry about it. But if it is not hit into a double play, then yes, you take the sure out and then work to the next guy out. Because if this game gets any further out of reach for the Jags, it'll be a long night.
That's fouled away by Pereira. 1-2, the count.
Again, another option here is that they can hit a ground ball and get it into a double play, but it's also the time of the play and how long it takes it to develop, whether it will be converted successfully or not.
And that's a pop fly. That's going to be in foul territory, and making the catch at third base, Jim Wagner for out number 2. Well, if a double play is not an option, that's the next best thing. Nobody advances on the base paths. 2 out.
And so, right now, the Jags, they've got to look at this inning as a huge success, not allowing these runners that are on the base paths to come around, considering how much the Pacers have lit up the scoreboard. They still have one more out to get, though.
With 2 outs, you need 3 to finish an inning. Ball 1 upstairs to O'Neal. We're not even through 2.5 in this game. All but one starter for the Pacers has scored at least 1 run. The only one that hasn't for the Pacers is LaVale Hodges. He's 0 for 2 with a pair of strikeouts. Pereira and Durden have scored twice. That's team baseball at its
Absolutely.
finest.
And they're showing you why they are positioned 4th in the Peach Bowl Conference is because of the play of the offense, and not only that, the pitching has been outstanding this series for the Pacers.
The Jaguars at times have really struggled. Well, they did score 4 runs yesterday. 2 of them, those runs were scored on bases-loaded walks, 1 in the 8th and 1 in the 9th. And in each of those innings, the bases were loaded before the bases-loaded walk as a result of 3 previous walks in each inning. So the Pacers bullpen walked 8 Jaguars in the last 2 innings, and yet the Jaguars got only 2 runs out of them.
If you remember how the Jaguars struggled out of the gate with their bullpen, the Pacers seem like they're going through the same thing. The starters are dandy. The starters are absolutely doing a magnificent job on the mound for the Pacers. But if you can work around that and get them to their bullpen, that's where you'll have the most success. And as we saw with a couple of the relievers yesterday, they will be erratic with their location and with their pitch selection. So if you can work to that point and work to the bullpen, you'll find a lot better chance of spurring on some offense. But right now, they've got a tough hombre and Spence to contend with for the Jags.
And O'Neal fouls one back. Count remains 2-2 with 2 outs. Let's not forget, it was all 10 runs the Pacers have scored in this game have been with 2 outs. The home run by Pereira in the first, the solo shot, was with 2 outs and nobody on, and all 9 runs they scored in the second were with 2 outs.
You always hear, and they always say that the 24th, 25th, 26th, and 27th out are the hardest to get in baseball. If you want to condense that down, the 3rd out in any inning is the most pressurized out to get in the game because of, especially right now with how you've got runners on the corners, the pressure mounts on you. So you're looking at that point to be a little bit too perfect to try to get this out. So relax, just pitch your game and get the 3rd out and let your offense take care of the rest on the back end.
That issue of the 3rd out of an inning being as hard as it is to get has been magnified tonight with the way this is going.
Absolutely.
(10-1) Pacers here in the 3rd. The Jaguars, good news for them. Offensively, they'll have the top of the order due up in the bottom half of this inning. And the pitch misses downstairs. Count is full. to O'Neill. A walk's not necessarily the worst thing that can happen. Second base is open with the runners at the corner, so it'll just load the bases. But we've seen how the Pacers have fared with the bases loaded in this game. They've drawn a bases loaded walk already, and they've hit a grand slam.
Well, and right now, too, Hagelston is working to the meat of their order. If you walk 4, you'll have 5 to contend with, but there's a big difference in that ball's
3-2 pitch is a towering pop fly. Shallow right field. Harrison Moore calls off his teammate Mason Robertson, who is coming out from second. And he makes the catch, and that ends the inning. So the Pacers strand runners at the corners, and the first 0 is put up on the scoreboard defensively for the Jaguars. They trail at 10-1 as we go to the bottom of the third. We'll be back. Welcome you back here to the lake. It's the bottom of the third. The Jaguars, top of the order to start off the inning, trailing 10-1. They will begin their second trip through the lineup. In the second and third innings, offensively for the Pacers, they have seen every single hitter hit twice in each of the last 2 innings. They saw 13 hitters come to the plate in the second inning and 5 to the plate in the third. And the 0-1 pitch misses to Bill Ardello. 1 ball and 1 strike is now the count.
Ardello exercising a little bit of patience here. It's what the Jaguars need to start this inning off on the right foot.
And that's fouled away as well again.
It's an interesting way Spence started off Bill Ardello too. You usually look at the first pitch of the inning, a fastball. A lot of times that is successful, but if a hitter's thinking that right out of the gate too, he can jump on it. So what does Spence do? Come back with a huge curveball to get the first strike.
And that's going to be lined up the middle on the grounder over to first. Not in time! An infield single by Bill Ardello to lead off the inning. He led off the bottom of the first with a single, came in to score the first and only run of the game so far for the Jaguars that inning. We'll see what happens here as he leads off the third with a single. The Jaguars have seen the leadoff guy reach base safely on a base hit in each of the first 3 innings so far. Going to bring up Jim Wagner. Reached on an error his first time up, which ultimately led to Bill Ardello coming in to score the run. Here's the pitch, and he swings at the first pitch. Aggressive hitter is Wagner in the air to left field, and the catch is made for out number 1. And now here's Harrison Moore coming to the plate, who struck out his first time up.
Wagner had a good approach, just a tad under the ball in the swing, elevated it just enough to where it would hang up there for the left fielder to come under and camp under it, and that's via the glove of Joey Smithers to collect the first out.
I said, Moore struck out his first time up for the first out of the first inning. Bats here with 1 out in the third. Third and final game of this 3-game series will be tomorrow, 1 o'clock Eastern Time start time. Will be broadcasted on the Augusta University Athletics Network on YouTube. Blake and I will have the call for you on that as well. We look forward to bringing it to you. It'll be available for streaming wherever you are in the world. And swing and a miss on a pitch outside by Harrison Moore. 0-1 now is the count.
Harrison was ready to tattoo that pitch all the way out to Japan. But he got a slider to boot and swung right over the plate, and the ball was nowhere near the plate.
The 0-1 is a called strike. 0-2 on Harrison Moore. Perhaps he was trying to hit it down Washington Road into Augusta National.
That literally would have to be one of the longest foul balls you'd ever have seen in this ballpark if that were to happen.
Augusta National is behind us.
Absolutely. I mean, and you may find a few businesses over toward as Moore cannot.
Swings and misses on 3 pitches, 3 times for out number 2, and there's Zach Goebel.
He cannot be productive at the plate, but there are a couple of businesses here. If you hit a rather long fly ball, that it may come in the parking lot of some of those businesses. Never seen that happen before, but there's always a possibility of that happening.
A lot of businesses nearby here at the lake. The pitch to Goebel misses for a ball. 1-0.
And I guarantee you, it probably won't make the dead happy as well, because there's a cemetery right across the way here at Lake Olmsted Stadium.
It's hallowed ground, Blake.
Absolutely.
As I mentioned, the Green Jackets, minor league team, Giants affiliate, played at this ballpark through Labor Day of last year. They played their last game here. Madison Bumgarner pitched on this very mound for the Green Jackets. Pablo Sandoval played here. John Lester pitched here as well. And the most important thing here, it was the 2008 when the Green Jackets won the South Atlantic League title. Madison Bumgarner was the big star on that team. He was unbeaten in the postseason in 2 starts, 2-0, did not allow a single earned run. And that's what kickstarted the every other year trend that he went on with the Giants after winning it here in 08. Then he comes up with the Giants, wins it the next even year in 2010, and then followed suit in 2012 and 2014. So that really began, that run of success for the Giants began here in 2008 at this very stadium when the Green Jackets won it all in 08.
It shows you how hard he's worked to become an elite pitcher in the majors.
And Goebel down on strikes. We go to the 4th. Jaguars trail at 10-1. We'll be back. And we once again welcome you back here to the lake. It's the top of the 4th inning. Pacers coming to bat, leading the Jaguars 10-1. And leading off the inning will be Connor Durden. And to take you through the middle 3 innings of play-by-play, here's Blake Collins.
Thank you, Robert. Durden has a batting stance similar to Dustin Pedroia, who also played here at Lake Olmsted Stadium as part of the Red Sox.
Jaguars, during their time here, were affiliated with the Red Sox and the Pirates before they became the Giants affiliate.
It's where Fear the Beard started. And Robert, I gotta say, man, I wanted to be Beard Brothers with Brian Wilson, but I never could get to that level with mine.
You kind of gave up and shaved.
Absolutely. As Durden shoots a single up the pipe to start off the fourth inning on the right foot, and you know it pained me. It pained me to no end to shave it off, but to go where we're both wanting to go one day, it's one of the best things.
Had a little fun with it, though.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Always fun while it lasts.
It's always fun, especially when it started in San Francisco, and then you look at Dodger Stadium too when he pitched for the Dodgers. See everybody with that elongated beard as like a little promotional type thing. To see all that was just absolutely inspiring in a way. But as you see right now, after Durden's single, we've got Joey Smithers, a speedy left fielder for the Pacers, up at the dish, and his first pitch he sees is a ball inside. Comes back, Hagelston trying to secure the same location, but to no avail as it settles in a little bit too far inside. And Smithers punches it into the ground at shortstop. Maddox underhands to Robertson to garner the first out here in the top of the fourth. That is all they get, but Augusta did a phenomenal job in securing the first out and not trying to do too much to get the two and risk an errant throw.
And what really helped them last inning and so far this inning is being able to get the lead runner when they have a chance. They got the lead runner in a similar fielder's choice for the first out last inning, and ultimately it was a major contributor for them putting up a 0. Had they gone for the out at first and allowed for a sacrifice by the Pacers,
right,
there may have been another run scored. Speaking of how the ABCs of baseball come back to haunt defenses.
It's the small things in this sport that if you do it well, turn into major components to a victory. As Hagelston now fires. That ball is punched into the ground at first. Phenomenal play there by Gray to keep the ball in front of him, knock it down. Had his glove placed on the dirt, worked it up into the body. Body knocked it down, picked it up, stepped on first base for the second out in the fourth inning. And now the next man to attempt to make contact with the ball is Hodges, and he does just that. High chopper over to Wagner. Cannon of an arm. Fires a bullet over to first base to wrap up the top half and the Aiken half of the fourth inning. We will be back in a flash with the Jags half of the fourth. The Jags look to battle back, and with Bakari Gale up at the dish now. Then we'll have Mason Robertson, followed up by first baseman Timothy Gray is your 5, 6, and 7 hitters. Due up for the Jags.
Jaguars still in their second trip through the lineup. The Pacers have almost completed 3 full trips already.
But Gale takes a wicked cut at that curveball. He gets nothing but air. Curveball again stationed on the outside corner, as Gale is now down 2 strikes. Patient eyes that time for Gale, trying to battle back from an 0-2 count. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Gale on 4 pitches, walking back to the dugout off of a curveball in the dirt.
First time this game, the Jaguars unable to get the leadoff guy on base. But here's a really important stat that's really so far caused problems for the Jaguars. The Jaguars, as a team, completely hitless after the leadoff hitter in every inning so far. Their only base runner, besides the leadoff hitters, was Jim Wagner, who reached on an error in the first inning. That shows you how Spence is able to settle down after facing 1 batter each inning.
He's going to amp it back up, falling behind Robertson now. 2 balls and no strikes. Robertson has a little bit of an open stance. Open stance means the lead foot is behind the back foot, where he can turn on the baseball. And Spence connects with his first strike there. Tries to seize the outside corner, but Spence cannot seize the day, and it's 3 balls and 1 strike. Robertson with a very good at bat on 5 pitches takes his free base over to first base, and now it puts the at bat and the continuation of a strong inning in the hands of Timothy Gray for the Jags. The first baseman. First 2 games we've seen him at first base, he's played a stunning first base for the Jags, and he bounces one back to the pitcher. Spence goes over to short. 1-6-3 is the call on that double play put out to wrap up the bottom half of the 4th inning. We will shoot on to the 5th inning right around the bend. Pacers look to break the streak of a couple of scoreless innings by Jags pitching out of the hands of David Hagelston with Chandler Rogers up at the dish. There's 9, 1, and 2 scheduled up at the plate. And Rogers takes a first pitch fastball, pinpoints low in the strike zone, and connects for the first strike. Goes the other way on an inside pitch. Skies one out to right field in foul territory, right near the bullpen. And it is a second strike as Timothy Gray almost caught up with the baseball. It would have been an over-the-shoulder catch for the first baseman. Moore was a little bit too deep to come in for that ball, and then you also had Robertson on the retreat for the Jags. Fell right in between all three. As Hagelston camps that fastball up high. For the first ball, 1 ball and 2 strike is your count. And Rogers is fighting for his last breath at the plate. This at bat stays alive. Grounds one harshly to Wagner at third base. And the quick gun over to first. And Wagner retires Rogers.
And you got to love his position. Yes, it was a hard hit ball right to him, but he was able to get his glove right in front of him in the perfect position and time the hop perfectly to make the strong throw across the plate. We've seen this time and time again from Wagner.
It is the hardest corner to react to a laser liner off of the at-bat because of the proximity to a lot of the batters, especially in the right-hander's batter's box. That's beating to the ground at second. Robertson comes back, so very quick, very rapidly now. There are 2 outs in the inning.
You talk about how a lot of people say shortstop's the hardest position in the infield. Well, you can make a case for third base.
In reaction time, yes, third base is the hardest position on the infield to play because you don't have as much reaction time as you do anywhere else. In terms of why people say that is because of the ground shortstops have to cover. They cover anywhere from behind second base all the way through that hole at third base, which is a rather long way for an infielder to patrol out there. So in terms of range, your shortstop is your most valuable position and also your hardest position to play when you're looking at range. And that ball's scolded into center field. And Bill Ordello almost makes a phenomenal stretch catch out there, but cannot make the grab as Bonilla again does his damage at the dish. And that will hand it, that was Dalton Weeks, who is struck the ball very well. A grand slam has last at bat and continues that here with a double that was almost to the warning track. And now catcher Brian Pereira is at the dish ready to savagely swing at the ball, and he lifts that one foul off into the playground area. It's been the first 4 hitters for the most part for the Pacers that have been doing an exquisite job of getting on base for the meat of the order. 3, 4, and 5 to do the damage. As that play was made by Widener, who cut in front of Maddox, who had a better angle on the ball. Retires the third out, and very quickly, the Jags are holding off any further onslaught by the Pacers for the last 3 innings. Let's see if their offense can get something motoring and see if they can surge to inch closer on this lead that the Pacers have when we come back. Brent Alford is the first man the Jaguars will call on to get a rally started, as the first pitch he sees here in the 5th inning from Spence is a strike barreling in on the inside corner. Ball gets away from Spence and it soars on him a little bit, so much so that Brent Alford gets hit in the back with that baseball. And at this point, you'll take any type of start where you can get a base runner on the bags if you're the Jaguars, and let's see if the Jaguars can capitalize on that pitching blunder with Trent Maddox up at the dish. And that ball is tapped over to second base. Robertson Maddox does a really good job of having a productive at bat with that ground ball to second base, as the Jags are back up to the top half of their order. And Devin Billardello looks to navigate senior catcher Brent Alford to third base. Spence comes firing a first pitch fastball in the meat of the plate. 0-1 to Billardello. Ordello camps back into the right-hander's batter's box and awaits his 0-1 pitch. Not as much curve as he wanted on that pitch, but it falls right into the strike zone for Mitch Spence. And he's fully ahead in this count, 0 balls and 2 strikes. Protection mode is Bill Ordello. Slow developing ground ball to short. And with the speed of Bill Ordello, that's all Rogers could do was hold on to that baseball, as the wet infield will slow any baseball down that's hit on the infield. And we've already seen in one instance here tonight where it redirected a pitch, redirected a base hit off of the bat of the Pacers, where Maddox was covering, had the perfect position to play that ball, hit off the fringe of the grass and redirected it to his left. So that played heck with Maddox at short. But the Jags right now have a threat looming, with Bill Ordello on first and Jim Wagner at the dish. And Alford is the catcher running at third base. Bill Ordello is taking off on that pitch. Looked like a hit and run scenario for the Jags. And Wagner fouls it back. Spence has no shot at picking Bill Ordello off at first base with the lead Bill Ordello has. It's a one-step lead out there at first. And that ball skied up in the infield. Infield fly rule is in effect as the clamp is made on the second out by Mr. Dalton Weeks, who has had a successful night, not only in the field, but at the dish as well. He has been responsible for 4 of those 10 runs via a grand slam. As Harrison Moore looks to fire up his bat on the first pitch, swings right through that sinker. And Moore's down, 0 balls and 2 strikes. Spence is trying to strike out Moore, and he does just that on an inside fastball. The Jags look to impose a threat, but that is quickly stifled by the glove and arm of Mr. Mitch Spence. So we will shoot back around to the 6th inning right after this. top of the sixth is now in session, as Hagelson's still out there on the mound. At this juncture, why take him out when he's had 4 shutdown innings up until this point? He's a little bit erratic to start off this 6th inning. As Wheats continues to see the ball and strike the ball good, but that ushers in a bouncer out to short. Maddox, extremely good on the transfer, fires over, and Weeks is retired. And that ball's lasered into right field, right in front of Moore. Good piece of hitting by the catcher there, Pereira. Or excuse me, that was Connor Durden, who's had a phenomenal day at the plate. And the couple of base hits, and Smithers now looks to step into the box and continue the damage that was started by Connor Durden. You can hear the sound of the ball being chopped over to the Jags dugout off the bat of Smithers. Two strike and 1 ball count. And that ball shot into right center field. Smithers can run. Connor Durden's on his way to third. And a stand-up double puts more pressure on the Jags as runners are stationed at second and third. Get a little mini conference between the catcher Alford and David Hagelston. And the success of this threat hinges on the bat of Philip Washington. Philip Watcher at the dish. And Watcher views one as it migrates outside of the strike zone. Jags infield, playing on the fringe of the grass, in to cut off the run, running from third to home. As Hagelston battles back with the first strike of the at-bat, he gets set, winds up, misses high with that pitch. It's 2 balls and 1 strike. And that ball's fisted into left. 1 run is coming into the plate. The second run will score as well. So the damage continues off of Watcher's bat as he doesn't watch that pitch settle into the strike zone. He fists that one off into left field for the 11th and 12th run of the ball game for the Pacers. So ball Hodges due up. And Hagelston cannot find the strike zone off a high fastball. Hagelston settles back in. He wheels and deals. Fastball gunning for the inside corner. Does not break over the inside corner. Instead, stays out of it. It's falling behind 2 balls and no strikes. And that ball's grounded over to third base in foul territory. Hagelston might be trying to overthrow it a little bit as the ball sails on him. It's 3 balls and 1 strike. Double play is a scenario on the infield for the Jags. With Hodges at first base. Hagelston. That's chopped to Maddox. Maddox. Robertson fires over to first, and the double play is turned to get the Jags out of the 6th inning that was in dire straits. So the Jags have a lot of work to do to come back into this ball game. You still have some time to work on it. The Jags look to amp up their offense on the other side of this break. Goebel looks to bring his MVP caliber week a couple of weeks ago to the dish and start a fire for the Jags to come back into this ballgame, to ignite the offense. Zach swings through that one. Spence misfires there, so we 10 outside. Got a good break to that curveball. That curves back into the strike zone for a 1 ball and 2 strike count. And that ball skied into shallow center field. And Bonilla is under it, corrals it for the first out. Bakari Gale looks to get on base for the Bags, because if he does, he can use that killer speed that he has to his advantage. Here with 1 out. Spence has other ideas, though, as the first pitch delivered to Gale is a sinker that Gale swings over the top of. Good eye showcase there by Bakari Gale. Looking at that. High changeup. It doesn't have 12-6 action on that curveball, but it's effective nonetheless, as that ball is in the strike zone and ventures out of the strike zone in about a 1.5 seconds. Slider that time nails the outside corner, and Bakari Gale is down on strikes. So the quality start for Mitch Spence continues here with 2 outs in the top half of the 6th. His next batter he will do battle with is Nate Robertson. Robertson looking to send an airmail special out of the park. Cannot connect with anything. Ball's chopped over to the Aiken dugout. Robertson is quickly now in a 0 ball and 2 strike hole. Sends a swivel over to first base. Can the speed outbeat the feed? And Spence had the ball in his glove, and he drops the ball.
I don't think the speed would beat it, but the dropping of the ball leads to Robertson reaching. We'll see how they rule that. It was going to be a close play either way.
Absolutely, but if you're Spence in that scenario, you've got to hang on to that ball. I know you're racing to the bag, and Robertson is about a step behind you, and that could have helped you lose your concentration, but you've got to hang on to that ball. And with Robertson on base, he has very good speed for the Jags.
ruled a base hit, it looks like. So an infield single for Robertson. And Robertson's 2 for 2 in this game. Double and a single.
Timothy Gray looks to shine with the lights on bright here and continue the threat that the Jags have cooking up. There are 2 outs in the inning, but the inning is alive thanks to Robertson's speed and Spence's miscue on defense. And that ball is lasered to the right side. Foul. One ball and 2 strikes. And Gray swings off of a splitter, and the Jags, with 2 outs, start to cook up something, but are ultimately denied here in the bottom half of the 6th. Still have a couple innings to go. Top of the 7th is right around the corner. So we have a couple of defensive changes for you. Taking control out in left field is Patrick Watson, and to tell you about the new hurler on the mound and to take you the rest of the way, 7 through 9. Robert, it's all yours, Bo.
Thank you very much, Blake. Once again, Aaron Chick is on the mound, pitching for the Jaguars, taking over in relief to start the 7th inning, and the first batter he will face will be Chandler Rogers, who will make his 4th plate appearance of the night in this game. Lead off the 7th will be followed by Jose Bonilla and then Dalton Weeks. It is 12-1 is the score in favor of the Pacers. They won over the Jaguars 14-4 yesterday and are getting it done in similar fashion here tonight. Jaguars have just flat out had no answer so far in this series. Series finale tomorrow, 1 o'clock Eastern Time, first pitch here at Lake Olmsted Stadium. Also, the finale of the Masters nearby. What has been a memorable week in the city of Augusta in the CSRA. There's the pitch to Rogers from Chick, and that's in there for a called strike. Nothing in the 1. Chick has a 4.22 ERA this season. This is his 11th appearance out of the bullpen. He has an 0-1 record this season.
He starts it off right there for the Jags by firing the first strike.
Absolutely. First pitch strikes are absolutely crucial, as you do not want to fall behind in the count. Even if you struggle to make the 3rd strike, you want to get ahead in the count. at the very least, and make the hitter battle back.
Absolutely. And then not only that, but then when you're ahead in the count like that, you can use pitches to set up other pitches. Like you can throw a pitch outside to set up another pitch, like a splitter dying down and in the dirt.
And Rogers is hit by a pitch, and right as we talk about getting ahead in the count, it kind of defeats the purpose if you're going to hit the batter, unfortunately. And leadoff guy is on, and now the leadoff guy in the Pacer lineup, Jose Bonilla, coming to the plate.
Not the guy you want to face with a man on base. Good Lord, he has done serious damage to the Jags this series. And if you're Chick here, you want to keep the ball down and try to induce a double play. And the thing with his speed, it's going to be hard to even turn a double play.
That's exactly right.
Especially if it's slow developing. But with you keeping the ball down, you at least ensure that you get one out, if not two.
Question is, would that out be at first or second? We'll soon see. They're holding on Rogers, who has a good lead off at first and obviously good speed as well. The base pass, the 1-0 pitch to Bonilla, misses outside, ball 2-2-0. Bonilla hitless tonight, however. He has reached on a walk and a fielder's choice and has scored a run. Also grounded out twice. This is the top of the 7th inning here at the lake. It was a very overcast, misty, light rain throughout the day. Tarp was on the field up until the start of the game. They took the tarp off of the field, and it seemed to clear up a little bit, and it's turned into a nice, pleasant night for baseball. You gotta love it when the weather cooperates with baseball and
absolutely
doesn't look good. You're wondering if you're going to play, and it suddenly accommodates your schedule.
It does, and not only that, but with the wind kind of dying down and having that lake feel to it, it's not feeling as brisk, and it's not feeling as cold, and it's not feeling as hot as you normally would see it in the spring and the summer. So this is absolutely perfect weather, even though it's still cloudy and it's still kind of foggy a little bit here. In terms of temperature-wise, this is right where you want to be in terms of playing a game of baseball.
It's a transition season.
Mm-hmm.
Spring and fall are the seasons between the hot and the cold weather. 2-1 pitch called. Strike 2, 2-2 on Bonilla, who is a senior from Puerto Rico. Comes all the way to Aiken, South Carolina to play college baseball.
They found a gem in Bonilla, especially with that utilization of the speed and his back to lead off as well.
And the 2-2 is fouled away. Bonilla able to stay alive. Going to be followed by Dalton Weeks, and if the inning is still going on after that, it'll be Brian Pereira. The bottom half of this inning, following the 7th inning stretch, the Jaguars will have Brent Alford, Trent Maddox, and Devin Billardello due up. The 8-9-1 hitters start the bottom half of the 7th inning. 2 pitch to Bonilla is pending. And it's on its way. Grounded through the hole on the right side. A base hit on his way to second. Rogers, he's going to take a sharp turn and go back to second and hold there. 2 on with nobody out. And once again, the Pacers are in business to continue to blow it open.
And also, too, Rogers respecting the arm of Moore. You mentioned taking a sharp turn, but ultimately deciding to hold up, knowing that a surefire cannon in right could outspeed Rogers at second, and if he were to try to navigate to third, would have been out number 1. Especially when Moore's momentum was taking him to third.
Well, the Cardinals, since in baseball, you don't want to make the first or third out at third base. That's why Rogers held up there.
Mm-hmm.
Ball and no strikes now on Dalton Weeks. Weeks also a senior from Boyertown, Pennsylvania. Pacers have a little more diversity on their team than the Jaguars in terms of geographic hometowns of some of the players. Catch is made in center field by Billardello on his way to third on the sacrifice fly. Rogers 1 out. Runners at the corners.
Bill Ordello had to backtrack a little bit, but then ultimately came down with the grab and got the ball in very quickly.
Gonna bring up Brian Pereira, a senior from Annapolis, a catcher and first baseman on the Pacers, starting at catcher tonight. He's homered in this game, a solo shot back in the first inning with 2 outs and nobody on. Gave the Pacers the 1-0 lead. The Jaguars answered in the bottom of the first with a run of their own to tie it at 1. But it's been all Pacers since. Pacers added 9 runs in the top of the second, all with 2 outs to make it 10-1. Did not score another run at all until the 6th inning, an inning ago, when the Pacers scored twice to make it 12-1. That's where we stand now with an out and runners at the corners. Here in the 7th, the 0-1 pitch fouled away, 0-2 on Pereira.
Maddox is shading Pereira up the middle because of the possibility of a stolen base. If the ball is hit sharply over to Wagner, it's going to be interesting to see what he does, because he has a double play in order, but you also, if it's hit sharply, it doesn't matter, but if it's hit rather softly, you want to try to lift the runner back as well. So it puts him in a interesting predicament, but the way Chick is pitching Pereira right now, he's down 2 strikes.
A 1-2 pitch, swing and a miss, down on strikes Pereira. 2 quick outs recorded by the Jaguars since the first 2 guys reached base. What a big strikeout that was. It's going to bring up O'Neill. Corners at the corners.
And now there's a force at second and first. And now the cleanup hitter, Brady O'Neill.
O'Neill in this game is 0 for 3. He's reached on a walk and came in to score. One of the 9 runs the team scored in the second inning. No balls and a strike. It's the count on O'Neill. And the 0-1 swung on in the air down the right field line. Foul territory and dropping the ball. Robertson went over, gave it a ride from second base, but dropped it. May have lost it in the lights. So it's a foul ball, and the count on O'Neill is 0-2. O'Neill can extend this inning. The next hitter will be Connor Durden. Durden and Pereira, hitters that hit before and after O'Neill, normally alternate between catcher and first base. Along with O'Neill, who's DHing tonight. That's in the air, almost the same spot as last time, but this time Harrison Moore goes over, and he makes the catch, and that ends the inning. So the Pacers put on a pair of runners with nobody out, and they strand them both. We go to the bottom of the 7th. Time to stretch at the Lake. 12-1. USC Aiken will be back. Welcome back here at the lake. It's the bottom of the seventh. We have completed the seventh inning stretch here. Brent Alford will lead things off for the Augusta Jaguars, trailing at 12-1 against the USC Aiken Pacers. It's been all Pacers since 6 Eastern time last night. Jaguars have had no answer. That's when the series started. This is game 2 of a 3-game series. Count 1 ball, no strikes on Alford.
They've certainly provided fireworks here at Lake Olmsted Stadium.
Yeah, this is fireworks this weekend have been here, not at Augusta National.
Mm-hmm.
The 1-0, that's popped up in the air, right side. They'll stay in fair territory, and the catch is made by Philip Watcher. Second baseman calling off his teammates, 1 out. He's going to bring up Trent Maddox. There's Trent Maddox, 0 for 2 in this game. The Jaguars 1 run off of 5 hits, 1 error. Pacers 12 runs off of 14 hits and 1 error. In the first 2 innings, the Pacers scored 10 of their 12 runs off of 6 hits. Since then, they've scored 2 runs, both coming in the 6th inning, and have had 8 hits since then. No balls and a strike on Maddox as he chops the first pitch foul. The 0-1 pitch on its way. Misses downstairs, 1 ball and 1 strike to Maddox. He'll be followed by Devin Billardello at the top of the order for the Jaguars.
We talk about the length of the pitcher. It's not necessarily as that ball.
It's in the air to left field, and the catch is made routinely for out number 2.
It's not necessarily the velocity of the pitches that you will see that will signify a pitcher's tired, but it's the location of which he pitches those pitches in. And Spence still looks like that he has good location to him. He's going through 7 strong.
So far at 6 2/3. 2 out here in the 7th. Here's the pitch to Billardello in there for a called strike inside the strike zone.
Mm-hmm.
0-1. Trying to extend the inning for Jim Wagner. And now the 0-1 pitch, line foul. 0-2. For the Jaguars, it's been a very frustrating year. This is a young team, but that does not get rid of the frustration if you're the players who are starting to get accustomed to going out there and seeing this repeated result. They obviously want to reverse it.
There's a lot of growing pains and a lot of learning that the Jags have done, but it does bode well for as this team matures.
Absolutely.
In later seasons for them to be a tough component in the Peach Belt Conference.
Absolutely. Grounder to the 3rd, throw across Simon in time. That ends the inning. 1-2-3 go the Jaguars. We go to the 8th at the lake. We'll be back. Welcome you back here to the lake. It's the top of the 8th inning. The leadoff hitter this inning for the USC Aiken Pacers is Connor Durden. Defensive changes for the Jaguars. Jose Lagares takes over behind the plate to do the catching. The rest of the way in left field defensively, Patrick Watson replaces Bakari Gale. His night is done, and Brent Alford's night is finished for the Jaguars. He was the starting catcher in this game. And first pitch swinging by Durden, and that's through the hole on the right side. A base hit past Mason Robertson at second base. Single to right field to lead off the inning for Durden. 1 on, nobody out for Smithers.
Good piece of hitting right there by Durden. Again, not trying to do too much. I mean, that's been the MO of a lot of these hitters for Aiken. Hitting the ball where it's pitched, not trying to do too much, and then combine that with the discipline at the plate you're seeing is a lot of the reason why, especially in these past 2 games, that the Pacers have been cooking with Crisco at the plate.
And Smithers tries to smother one and swings and misses on a fastball upstairs for strike 1, no balls and 1 strike to Smithers.
And he was tied up too, man. That didn't leave him much room to work with at the plate, and he swung right through it.
Nasty fastball by Aaron Chick. And the 0-1 pitch called strike. 0-2 on Smithers. He'll be followed by Philip Watcher. And barring a double play ball, expect to see LaVale Hodges this inning for the Pacers. The 0-2 pitch, swung on, towering pop fly, and that's going to go foul into the picnic area. Count on Maine, 0-2. After tomorrow, the series will wrap up, and then Jaguars will travel to take on Newberry on Tuesday night, and then on Wednesday they take on Benedict and Columbia. And they have the weekend off, and then the following Tuesday travel to North Greenville, take on North Greenville in Tigerville, South Carolina. Popped up right field, foul territory. Catch is made by Harrison Moore, and that's out number 1 here in the top of the 8th. Jaguars will return home on Wednesday the 18th of April, take on the local opponent, Payne College, and then take Thursday off, and then a 3-game weekend series once again against first place Georgia College. That'll be a tough series as Georgia College is 16-2 in conference play, 24-7 overall, having an historic season.
They will be tough to contend with, and Moore with great closing speed out there puts kibosh on out number 1. He's much like Brilladello in the sense that those two have very good closing speed that can get to almost any ball hit to them.
No balls and a strike. The count to Watcher, and that misses. 1 ball and 1 strike. 1 out and 1 on. Ace is wild. Bullpen is... Yesterday it was very busy, and there was always, for the most part, somebody loosening for the Jaguars, and rightfully so with the way things were going in last night's game. Today, things have been going similarly, but the bullpen has not been as busy.
So it's been a lot more controlled by the bullpen today. A lot more pitching to contact. A lot better at pinpoint locations on the corners, and it's serving the bullpen well. I mean, Hagelston came in, and outside of the last inning that he pitched 4 solid shutout innings for the Jags, and you can't ask for a better, longer leap than what he did, considering what they went through the first 2 innings with that grand slam home run, 10 runs,
absolutely,
9 runs in the second, and then a run in the first. But what a job by Hagelston and the bullpen. Let's see if it keeps going strong here with Chick.
Count 2 balls and 2 strikes. Here's the pitch. Line in the air to left, or to center field. Right there, Bill Ardello was already in perfect position before the ball was hit. Hardly had to make a step, and he makes the catch. 2 outs here in the 8th. That's going to bring up Hodges. Or his spot is due up, but it turns out we'll have a pinch hitter. The pinch hitter is Sam McQuillan. Bat for Hodges here in the 8th. And that means there will be a new right fielder in the bottom half of this inning. McQuillan, the pinch hitter, with a runner on first and 2 outs here in the top of the 8th inning. Jaguars in the bottom half of this inning will have the 2-3-4 hitters due up. That's Jim Wagner, Harrison Moore, and Zach Goebel. Ground to the third. Backhanded by Wagner. Throw across the diamond. In time for the 3rd out. What a play, and what a great defensive third baseman Jim Wagner is.
That's like a Scott Rowland type player right there for Jim Wagner. First, the range to actually get to that ball, then to stop on a dime, bury his feet into the ground, position himself with the long drawn-out rifle and a bullet to first base, guns this man down to end the inning. What a phenomenal play by Jim Wagner at third base.
Absolutely was, and that's going to bring the Jaguars to the plate, and that's going to bring Wagner to bat to lead it off in the bottom half of this inning on the other side of this break. We'll be back. And we are back at the lake on Village Road in Augusta, Georgia. Jim Wagner after the outstanding backhanded play, and that was about as long as a throw to first base to get a force out as you'll see at any level of baseball. He was on the complete opposite side of the diamond, right in the corner.
Almost in foul territory. It was just a rifle, and with that outfield arm.
Swings the first pitch, towering pop fly, and the catch is made at shortstop for out number 1. Wagner is retired, and just talk about what an outstanding defensive third baseman he is. He's in the perfect position just about every time the ball's hit to him, and he makes it look easy on those plays, and great reflexes on a ball that could have very easily been a double down the left field line, and he gets into position to backhand and make the throw to first.
Well, you talk about the versatility of the Jags, and we've mentioned that all year long. It shows you how valuable Jim Wagner is to this Jaguar squad. veteran player for the Jags, has played all over the diamond in the outfield, at short as we saw earlier this year, and at third with that cannon. Shows you why he is so valued for the Jags.
Count now 2 balls and no strikes on Harrison Moore. Henry Cartwright is the new pitcher on the mound for the Pacers. The 2-0 pitch in there for a called strike. 2-1 on Harrison Moore. He replaces Spence, who went 7 innings and allowed a run off of 5 hits. Pitched outstanding. Another tough pitcher that the Jaguars struggled to face this series. They faced Rafuse, starter for yesterday's game, similarly for the Pacers who started yesterday, and Jaguars similarly struggled against him as well, as Rafuse refused to let the Jaguars get anything going against him.
But it's like we talked about earlier, the Jags are now, that ball is scolded.
It's in the air to center field, and the catch is made for the second out.
With the Jags now facing the bullpen, it is their premier opportunity to do some damage. As we saw last night, the bullpen is a little bit in disarray and in shambles when it comes to trying to shut down some innings, and the Jags have a chance to do some damage of their own.
Well, knock on wood as we say this, but Cartwright, he's a redshirt freshman in his career in the season. On the mound for the Pacers, he is not allowed an earned run. He has a 0.00 ERA. This is his third appearance. Redshirted last season. He's a local product, went to nearby Strom Thurmond High School. The Lake has hosted them play some high school games in the past years. During his time at Strom Thurmond, this is his hometown team, also born and raised in Augusta.
Mm-hmm.
He was a 3-time All-Region selection during his high school career. Ball and a strike on former player and local player of the week in the region and in the conference. Zach Goebel now 1-2 as he chops one foul down the third base side. Trying to extend the inning for Patrick Watson, who came on in relief of Bakari Gale defensively in left field. Getting ready for his first plate appearance of the night. Will it be next, or will we have to wait till the bottom of the ninth for it?
And when you're back home, it adds some extra fire to your belly to shut down the home team. And he's doing a very good job of that. Already got 2 quick outs and almost has a third right there.
And the 2-2 misses. Count is full on Zach Goebel trying to extend the inning for Watson. And the 3-2 pitch is popped up. Foul territory, right side, and it's going to drop. And the at-bat continues.
It was going to be a phenomenal catch if it was made. A tough angle out there for the Aiken first baseman to make. Durden did all he could, almost twisting his body trying to make that catch, but out of his reach. Commend him for the effort, but he couldn't get his team out of the inning, and he gives new life now to the Jags.
Count remains full. Good at bat here by Alford. And the 3-2 pitch, another foul. Goebel in this game is hitless 0 for 3 with a strikeout, a ground out, and a fly out. And he flies one to shallow right field. And catch will be made by watcher at second base, who calls off his teammate for the third and final out. The Jaguars set down in order for the second inning in a row. As we go to the ninth here at the Lake, 12-1 Pacers will be back. Welcome back here to the Lake. It's the top of the ninth inning, and the Pacers come to bat leading at 12-1. It has been a very lopsided almost first two games so far, and certainly the Jaguars going tomorrow, barring some unthinkable, exciting rally we could see in the bottom of the ninth, looking at potentially a chance for the Jaguars to go out trying to avoid the sweep, and they can only play better than they played yesterday and today at this point.
Absolutely. It only gets better from here and looks up.
We have a pinch hitter for Rogers, batting in Rogers' spot, and the pinch hitter is Daniel Wiggins, and he lines one to right field for a base hit. And leadoff man on for the Pacers here in the ninth. And now we have the leadoff spot coming up next, and we have another pinch hitter, and it's Andre Brown III batting for Bonilla.
That was not an easy thing to do if you're the pinch hitter for the Pacers.
Both teams emptying their bench at this point.
Yep. Chris Gherkin there. It's not an easy thing to do to sit on the pine for 8 innings, come up with an opposite field approach, and 2 pitches in, fist one off into right field.
With the game and where it is, both teams emptying their bench here.
And the more impressive part about that is his timing. He fisted that in to right field, and his timing was impeccable on that ball that he fought off. So, I mean, absolutely tremendous job by Gherkin there to get on base for the Pacers.
We also have another pinch hitter on deck in Weeks' spot. So Weeks will be lifted, and Kerry Holloway will be the pinch hitter for Weeks, due to hit next. We will see many defensive changes in the bottom half of this inning with all the pinch hitters. Well, the question is who will be playing where. We'll soon see. And the pitch misses downstairs, and the count is even 2 balls and 2 strikes on Andre Brown III.
You know, Andre, with good vision at the plate, watches that one fall into the dirt, and he's battled back to even the count up at 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Check on the runners. Here's the pitch. And that swung on, popped up, and it's going to go foul off of the bat of Brown. He'll stay alive. For the Jaguars defensively, Connor Weldy is in the game at second base. Mason Robertson's night is finished. Weldy will be due up second in the bottom half of this inning, with Watson due up third, as we'll have several Jaguars who came in defensively getting their first at-bats in this game in the bottom half of this inning. And that's lined for a single, base hit to center, back-to-back pinch hit singles by the Pacers to lead things off here in the ninth, I should say. And that's going to bring up the pinch hitter, Holloway.
Well, the adjustments that the pinch hitters are making is absolutely wonderful, because when you've been on the pine in the dugout that long, not only what we talked about with the timing earlier, but the adjustment process going into seeing what Chick has and then adjusting to what the next pitch is 2 times harder when you haven't been in the game and are just coming off the pine than it is if you either started the game or came into the game in the middle innings and have had at bats to get used to the pitches that the Jaguars are throwing.
And runners advance to second and third on a wild pitch in the dirt by Aaron Chick. That's going to take away several force options and open up first base. 1 ball and no strikes to the pinch hitter, Holloway. And looks like Pereira is also going to be lifted. On deck is going to be the pinch hitter, Blake Bottomley. For the Pacers, high chopper to second. They're going to throw to first. The runners will advance. The throw to first is in time for out number 1. Scoring from third, Wiggins. Brown advances to third from second, and it's 13-1 Pacers. And that's going to now bring up the pinch hitter, Blake Bottomley, pinch hitting for Pereira. 4 straight pinch hitters to start this inning for the Pacers. And the pitch is a ball, 1-0. If the Jaguars are able to get at least 1 base runner in the bottom half of this inning, Jose Nogueras, who came on defensively in the 8th inning as a catcher, will get his first plate appearance of this game. That's chopped foul by Bottomley, 1-1.
It may be chaotic as far as defensive changes go for Aiken. Add 1 more to that list of probabilities, as there is a right-hander loosening up in their bullpen.
The 1-1 swung on, fouled back, 1-2. Ball and 2 strikes here on Bottomley. Will likely stay in the game and catch in the bottom half of this inning. He's listed as a catcher. He's a junior from Parkland, Florida. Hometown to the tragic mass shooting on Valentine's Day. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Will forever be in our prayers, in our memory. That was horrific, and he looks to do them proud at the plate.
And that's fouled away. Count remains 2 balls and 2 strikes. And the 2-2 misses. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Will count. Bottomley went to the transfer from Gordon State University. It's a junior, eligibility-wise. And another foul. That's going to go over the net and bounce up into the stands. He is a graduate of Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, where the horrific shooting sadly took place. He was a .320 hitter his senior year with a trio of home runs.
Gives him new purpose and new meaning in life, and that ball surges
almost to the same spot. He's hit several our direction.
And you know, he's fighting back valiantly in a 3-2 hole. He's fouled 2 pitches off right now.
Good at bat here off the bench. I'll tell you, for these hitters who have been watching this game from the bench, and he fouls another one back to stay alive. My goodness.
And again, this is coming off the bench. It's a pinch hitter. It's highly impressive what he's doing right now.
Yeah, and you know what? These guys coming in pinch hitting, they've done their homework. You know, even though they haven't been in the game until now, they've been watching a lot of pitches over the last almost 2 games in this series, and they know what to expect from what they've watched, and they've come out ready to swing. And he hits that one through the hole on the left side, a base hit. Scoring from third is Brown. It's 14-1. And this is now the 2nd consecutive game the Pacers have scored as many as 14 runs over the Jaguars. As this has been, for the Jaguars, just a horrific series so far.
Yeah, 28 runs in 18 innings.
Not even 18 innings.
Yeah, they still have 2 outs to get before it will officially be 18 innings.
That's right. And the pitch is a called strike on O'Neill, the designated hitter, who stays in the game, not being pinch hit for. No balls and a strike on O'Neill. The 0-1. Swung on, fouled away, 1-2. Or correction, 0-2. 2 runs home this inning by the Pacers. They scored 2 as well in the 6th, 9 with 2 outs in the 2nd and 1 in the 1st as well. That's where we stand now. 1 out runner on first. And Bottomley. And the 0-2. This is outside. 1 ball and 2 strikes. March Madness wrapped up just less than a week ago. Congratulations to Villanova as well as Notre Dame winning it all for both the men's and women's this year. And it was an exciting month of March of basketball, wasn't it, Blake?
Absolutely well-deserved for both teams as Philadelphia is on his high horse.
Unable to get that. A good effort to charge the ball, sliding, and appeared to have made the catch for a moment, but it came out of his glove, and everybody's safe. Should be ruled a base hit, as Bill Ardello had to make a long run to get to that one. And it is. 2 on with 1 out as Bottomley advances second, and we're going to have another pinch hitter, and Sage Benson will bat for Durden.
Robert, we may have wholesale changes by the time this inning wraps up, as these pinch hitters are keeping the pedal to the metal and having really good at bats.
Absolutely, they've done their homework in watching the first game yesterday and most of this game before coming on the bench, watching and scouting the Jaguars pitching. And the first pitch misses for a ball, 1-0. Kind of starting with all these pinch hitters, it's kind of feels like it's an all-star game, sort of. As it's usually in those games, it's the 5th and 6th inning where the teams empty the bench. And then you have to figure out who's batting where.
Absolutely.
After that.
Absolutely. And in this case, it'll be who's playing where and what positions have been changed and whatnot.
Absolutely.
When the Jags get back into their offensive half of the night.
The 1-0 misses for a ball, 2 balls, and no strikes.
It's good given some of these youngsters and pinch hitters and guys who may not see as much playing time as some of the regular starters a chance here to bat and play defensively. Can't ask for more if you're a utility guy or on the bench for the most part of the season.
Think about all the extra experience these guys are getting in this game, in this situation.
And that will parlay into an already phenomenal season this year, but with the guys that are getting this experience now, they'll be even better next year. So think about how that'll play into when baseball comes around next year. These guys will be ready to go.
Absolutely. The Pacers, just like the Jaguars, also a young team. That's through for a base hit. Around third, Bottomley, he'll score, and it's 15-1. And who would have thought that after the Pacers scored 14 runs yesterday, that they would dent home plate more times than that here tonight? Who would have thought?
The umpire is definitely getting some exercise, having to clean home plate time and time again. He's getting a solid workout.
That's one dirty plate, I'll tell you that. Bases, you would think, are just as dirty as well with the amount of times the teams have been rounding them. On second,
Absolutely.
O'Neill. Benson, the pinch hit single, is on first. And Smithers' spot is due up next. Are we going to see him or are we going to see somebody else? Let's see. It is Joey Smithers coming to bat for the Pacers. They've already scored 3 runs this inning, 15 runs off of 20 hits in this game. The Jaguars dropped their season opener back on February 2nd against the West Georgia Wolves, 16-2. Deficit-wise, this matches that as the largest loss of the year. The Pacers looking to exceed that, still with 1 out in the 9th. That's an infield fly as it stays in the infield, and the catch is made at first base for out number 2. Smithers is retired, and that's going to bring up for the Pacers Philip Watcher here with 2 outs. The Pacers only have 3 starters that are currently still in the game at this point. That's how you empty your bench in baseball. Grounded to third. Wagner, once again, another nice play. Throw across the diamond in time, and the inning is over, but not before the Pacers score 3 more runs. 3 more insurance runs at that to take a 15-1 lead as we go to the bottom half of the 9th inning. Jaguars coming to bat, last chance. We'll be back. Welcome you back here to the Lake. Jaguars coming to bat. Patrick Watson replaces Bakari Gale defensively back in the 8th inning, batting for the first time tonight. Gale was 0 for 3 with a trio of strikeouts. He's not alone in that category. Harrison Moore 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts in this game for the Jaguars as well, who only have 5 hits as a team so far in this one. 1 ball, no strikes to Watson. The 1-0 pitch, that's hit in the air to deep center field, just shy of the warning track, and the catch is made for out number 1.
Put some good aluminum to that baseball,
Absolutely.
but just a touch under. And we've seen stranger things, Robert. So, do the Jags have a 15-run comeback in them? It will be extremely tough now with only 2 outs to go.
And off the bench, Ty Hobbs will pinch hit for Weldy, who came on defensively in place of Robertson at second base. Now Hobbs will bat for Weldy, who played 2 innings defensively at second base but did not have a plate appearance. And here's the pitch to Hobbs, grounded to short. And it's going to be past the shortstop, Wiggins, into left field for a 1-out base hit by Hobbs off the bench. Jaguars need an additional 12 base runners after Hobbs in order to have a chance in this one. Here's Timothy Gray. And barring a double play ball, Nogueras' spot is up next. There's nobody on the on-deck circle, however, so we'll see how the Jaguars play the hand if we get there. 1 ball, no strikes. The count to Gray. And the 1-0 grounded to second. And it's bobbled at second. Throw to second in time for the out. And because of the bobble, you never assume the double play by rule in baseball, but that may have allowed the game to continue.
Absolutely is. Hobbs doesn't have that good of speed. Did the best he could, but the bobble definitely allows for two things. The runner to make it safely to first, and as you mentioned in the prior half inning, Nogueras is at the plate.
Nogueras batting for the first time tonight. He, just like Watson, came in defensively for the Jaguars in the 8th inning, and he looks at a ball 1-0. Trying to extend the game for Maddox. The Jaguars, to have a chance, they got to bat around and then some. Here in this one, the 1-0 pitch. That's in the air to right field, and the catch is made for the final out of the inning and of the game. The ball game is over. The Jaguars fall 15-1 to the Pacers. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we will wrap things up. We'll be back. Welcome back to the Lake. Once again, the final score here at Lake Homestead Stadium. The USC Aiken Pacers defeating the Jaguars 15-1 after a 14-4 victory over the Jaguars yesterday. Things just go from bad to worse for the Jaguars. Before we wrap things up, let's take a look at what else went on around the Peach Belt Conference here tonight. All the games have gone final around the conference as of right now. Flagler and Eckerd played a doubleheader today. Flagler won game 1, 10-5, and Eckerd winning game 2, 9-7, as the team split the doubleheader. Georgia College in first place, continuing their historic season, winning 9-3 over Lander. And the Young Harris, 5-4 winners over North Georgia. And the final score here at the Lake, USC Aiken 15, and the Jaguars 1. Blake, any final thoughts?
The bullpen stepped up really big tonight, especially with Hagelston. He's had a couple of rough outings, but tonight a good, clean, crisp 3 innings of shutout baseball, and then he gave up 2 runs, but then the bullpen came back in and helped him out a little bit. Chick, he has some improving to do on it. You'll see him get better with it. For Penley, I'd like to see him pitch a little bit more to contact and infuse working the corners as well. Takes the offense, you had moments in the game, especially in the first inning, tying up the ball game. Had a couple of threats on the bags. Just put consistent at bats together to amp up the threat and bring home those runners on the bags and continue to play your brand of baseball. And I know it's a crosstown rival, crosstown series. The emotions and the energy are amped up to a T. Try to relax tomorrow. It's a brand new day. Bring it on home. Salvage the 3rd game of the series for the Jags and get off on the right foot going on the road for next week.
Yeah, absolutely. And tomorrow, let's start with tomorrow and wrap up the series with Game 3 of the 3-game series tomorrow. And the Jaguars can only play better than they have yesterday and today. We thought yesterday they could only play better than we thought today they could only play better than yesterday, but it only unfortunately just got worse for them. And see how they do tomorrow as they try to avoid the 2nd straight conference home series sweep. Let's not forget they were swept here at home 2 weeks ago by North Georgia. Those were a lot closer games than we were seeing so far here today, but Jaguars looking to snap this little skid of theirs tomorrow, and what should be a good game. Should be a beautiful day for baseball tomorrow. We look forward to bringing that one to you here on the Augusta University Athletics Network on YouTube as well. And it'll be broadcasted, available online around the world, wherever you are. Don't worry, you'll be able to access it. Once again, final score here at the Lake, Pacers 15 and the Jaguars 1. For Blake Collins, I'm Robert Ambrose. Good night, everybody.